The following documents were recovered from Site 23768, located beneath the town of Perry, Georgia. All materials included have been designated top secret. Disclosure in any form will result in severe repercussions of the highest order. Logbook of Dr. Adrian Coleman, April 14th, 2020. Our newest tenant arrived today. The recovery team lost a member in the extraction. The death was a result of failure to strictly adhere to extraction protocol. Our new tenant is a female, age 12, Caucasian, hair brown, eyes brown, height 143.2 centimeters, weight 40.1 kg. Name: Kaylee Cohen. Henceforth referred to as Subject 451-20-8. Subject 451-20-8 was recovered from St. Vincent's Orphanage in Louisville, Kentucky. The subject had been entered into the orphanage program after the deaths of both parents. Their deaths were determined to be of natural cause, resulting from strokes. Subsequent adoptions resulted in the death of the foster parents. The deaths consisted of 2 reported heart failures, 1 stroke, 1 suffocation resulting from swallowing of the tongue, and 1 murder-suicide deemed a psychotic break from witnesses at the scene. We took notice after the second adoption. Surveillance documented a dispute between the subject and the foster parents of the third adoption. The dispute ended with one adult taking a kitchen knife to the other, and then to themselves. I will attach a report filed by the surveillance team on this incident to the end of this logbook for ease of access and reference. Subject 451-20-8 arrived at 5:45 hours and is still under anaesthesia administered by the recovery team. The subject is expected to wake by 1300 hours. Testing will begin once the subject has awoken. Observation Report, March 29, 2020. Potential subject KC was seen with foster parents Gladys and Edgar Willom, both of whom appeared engaged in an animated discussion in the kitchen of their home. Subject and guardians had just returned from an outing at the local shopping centre. The following is a transcript of the conversation captured by undiscovered surveillance equipment within the kitchen of the house.
I don't understand, sweetie. We had such a lovely day today. We had your favorite dinner, took you to get that cute little bear made at the mall. Why do you look so sad? There. What's wrong, sweetheart? Don't you like it here?
Ungrateful little bitch. Crying after everything we did for her today.
Edgar, don't say things like that in front of the girl.
I know, sorry. It's just so frustrating. We work so hard to make her happy, and she just cries about it.
I understand you say things that you don't mean, but Kaylee doesn't understand that. You have to be kind to her. Who knows what she's been through?
At this point, Casey's sobs grow louder, and Edgar's expression fluctuates between angered and ashamed.
You're so nice, Gladys. I don't want anything bad to happen to you.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Don't worry, sweetie. Nothing bad will happen to me. That's what Mr. Hallis said. And Mrs. Colburn. But they died. They always die.
At this point, Casey clutched the bear to her face as her sobbing intensified.
Who the hell? What the hell? Damn it, Glad, what is she talking about? Her previous fosters? We should have paid more attention to that paperwork. Shit!
It doesn't matter, Eddie. Accidents happen. You hear me, Kaylee? Accidents happen. We'll be safe. Don't worry.
This was a mistake. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't even want a damn kid. Just wanted to make you happy. But this is shit. We need to take her back.
No. Please don't take me back. You're so nice, Gladys. I don't want to go. I won't take her back. She's not some faulty appliance bought from the store. She's our daughter. I refuse.
Bullshit. We'll see about that.
He started to walk past the two when the potential subject reached out and grabbed his arm. Edgar stopped and turned on her, jerking his arm from her grasp with a look of fury. The potential subject's back was to us, so we were unable to see her face. Edgar looked down at her and became suddenly very still. His furious expression went slack, and his eyes flooded red with bursting capillaries. A small rivulet of blood leaked from the corner of his eye. Edgar's slack expression shifted into a look of anger that eclipsed his previous expression. He sneered and gibbered unintelligible words, spit flying from his lips. In 3 quick motions, Edgar sprinted to a knife in its holder on the counter, drew it out, and advanced towards Gladys. As he advanced, she raised her arms defensively, crying out. He plunged the knife below her left arm, stabbing up to the hilt below her armpit, and withdrawing it. Gladys' expression went from fear to surprise, and then to slack, nothing, as she fell to the floor. The only motion, a seemingly endless deluge of blood, which slowed soon enough. Edgar did not hesitate. Before Gladys had fully collapsed to the ground, he pierced himself with the blade in the chest. He let out a crazed scream that was heard by our observation team, as well as the neighbours. He pulled the blade out of his chest and plunged it in again. He died with his hand firmly on the blade. The potential subject sat curled in the corner, covering her face and screaming. Blood from the slain woman pooled and flowed close enough to stain the potential subject's full and stuffed bear. Authorities arrived within a matter of minutes, likely contacted by neighbours. The potential subject's screams had died down to gasping sobs. Observation Team Alpha recommends the board authorise immediate extraction of the potential subject. Evidence of expected exceptional ability has been witnessed. Recovery Team Omega Recovery Report. April 14th, 2020. Subject 451-20-8. Report filed by Field Agent Rowana Gonzalez. Recovery Team Omega was dispatched in the early morning hours of April 14th to apprehend Subject 451-20-8 from St. Vincent's Orphanage. SOP guidelines were followed on arrival, and the crew was notified of potential danger. We entered the orphanage after verifying that all occupants were sleeping. The subject was kept separate from the rest of the population due to accidents that happened around her. Documents recovered from the office of the orphanage confirmed that the subject was scheduled to move to a new facility the following week due to her volatile nature. Omega Team consists of 7 members, which split into 3 groups. Group 1 was surveillance and had 2 units, one in the van and one nearby acting as a lookout. Group 2 had 2 members and was tasked with monitoring the route we had planned on taking once the subject was obtained. Group 3 consisted of 3 people, including myself. Agent Jones and Baker were the other 2 members of my group. Everything was going according to plan as we entered the subject's room. Baker had his protective eyewear pushed up to his forehead, thinking the subject asleep in her bed. She was not sleeping. The floor creaked beneath our combined weight as we entered the room, and the subject sat up in her bed. Her eyes were massive pools of reflected moonlight as we stared at each other in stunned silence. Baker lunged to the girl, and her eyes changed. The wide pools of reflective moonlight gleaming from her eyes shimmered with a hauntingly unfathomable depth. They shifted to black, but it was a colour darker than black. The light around the subject's eyes bent inward from the force of the blackness. Her gaze was death. Even with my protective eyewear in place, I felt my stomach knot up and my legs grew weak. Something inside of me was pulled by her gaze, tugged and torn, but not broken. Baker had no such protection and paid the price for breaking protocol. He fell to the floor, twitching. Thick, white foam oozed from his mouth as he convulsed. Cursing quietly, I quickly subdued the subject with an injection. Jones took hold of the now motionless body of Baker, and I took the girl. We dragged them out of the facility without incident. Baker was disposed of per Regulation 57.2.5. Subject 451-20-8 was brought to Research Facility 23-768 via the Gulfstream G550 Unit A32. Logbook of Dr. Adrian Coleman. April 28th, 2020. Test results from Subject 451-20-8 have exceeded expectations. Elevated levels of both luteinizing hormones and follicle-stimulating hormones coincide with strengthening abilities. I hypothesise that Subject 451-20-8's growing ability is linked with the progression of puberty. Tests have concluded that Subject 451-20-8's gaze can induce death at up to 5 meters distance. Eye contact must be made with the subject. Initially, the subject required external stimulation, induced anger, to trigger the death gaze. Subsequent testing and growing strength have made this trigger unnecessary. Subject can now enter the death gaze state at will. Death occurs at the weakest physical part of the animal. Rats with previously known heart conditions suffer from cardiac arrest. Cancer grows at a visible rate once the eyes are locked. Seemingly healthy specimens suffer strokes or mental breaks and inevitable suicide. It seems that the death gaze triggers the foremost ailment of the one afflicted and causes an exponential increase in the condition. Nothing has survived the death gaze. 3 other potential subjects have been identified, all born on the same day of Subject 451-20-8. Surveillance teams have been dispatched to verify accuracy of reported abilities. Subject 23-1-18 is currently incarcerated at Warmouth Youth Detention Facility in Alden, Oregon. The subject is reported to incite extreme acts of violence with a touch. Subject 61-13-9-14-5 currently lives in Springfield, Illinois. The subject has been moving with family for a year now. More than a month at one location has reportedly ended in natural disasters, ranging from locust swarms to drought. Subject 3-15-14-17-21-5-19-20 resides at St. Joseph's Hospital and has received numerous tests from the nearby CDC. Perpetual lethargy afflicts this subject, and anyone who the subject breathes upon becomes infected with a deadly disease. Testing has shown the infection is a new strain of the bubonic plague. No causation has been identified. Subject 3-15-13-17-21-5-19-20 has no identifiable illnesses germinating that would cause a transfer of the plague. Confirmation is expected from the surveillance teams within 24 hours. I expect each of the subjects to be in custody and at facility 23-768 within the week. Logbook of Dr. Adrian Coleman, April 29th, 2020. Subject 451-20-8 was more than we anticipated. She experienced her first menstrual cycle, and her ability expanded exponentially. Protocols in place to protect researchers and workers no longer protected them from the subject. Looking away no longer protected them. I write this in haste. Soon I will die. The array of monitors that surround my desk show me the facility. Subject 451-20-8 walks free. Nothing near the subject survives. Death approaches. The other subjects have been confirmed. They were scheduled to be procured and brought to the facility within 24 hours. By the time they arrive, no living person will remain. Each step Subject 451-20-8 takes sends fresh waves of dark death in every direction. Corpses litter the hallways and the rooms. Test animals lay motionless in cages, displayed on my monitors. Subject 451-20-8 must pass through my office to exit the facility. I feel a tightening in my chest, a twinge. My arm is numb. Further documentation into the subjects listed above have been removed from record. The above documentation has been removed from circulation and destroyed. Any attempts to disseminate any information relating to Facility 23-768 will be met with imprisonment or death.
Dear Diary, today I got a new sister. I'm so excited. She's older than me. Mommy said she found her walking down the road. We're going to file a report with the police in the morning to see if she has family missing her. Mommy said I'm bad, but I hope she doesn't have family looking so she can stay with us. Her name is Kaylee, and she has the prettiest eyes. I gave her my bear, Briar, and it made her cry. But I hugged her hard and she smiled. I love my new sister. Good night, Diary. Signed, Lisa Jane.